Okay, so here we are with allblacks.com with All Blacks coach Graham Henry. How you going, Graham? All right?
Yeah, good, thanks.
That's the way.
Good to be in Wellington. Sunny Wellington. It's cold as hell out there and blowing a gale.
Now there's a change, isn't there?
It's not too bad, actually.
Hey, look, we went out last night to some of our All Blacks followers to get some questions for you, and I've got roughly 10 here.
That's very good. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, well, hopefully you can answer them all.
I'll do my best.
So your nickname is Ted. Can you tell the followers where that came from?
Oh, I came from some of the girls I used to take out, but I was very cuddly, like a teddy bear. So they couldn't call me Teddy Bear, so it just got cut down to Ted, really.
And that obviously stuck. Fantastic.
That's not the true story, but that's not a bad one to start off with, is it?
No, well, not too bad at all.
Yeah,
it's probably as good as you're going to get, isn't it?
Well, we'll save the real story for another day, shall we?
Rightio. What's Graham Henry's favourite wine?
Oh, I enjoy a Pinot and a Peregrine from Central Otago. Spins my wheels. So I've been to their winery and talked to the people down there. And no, I really enjoy Central Otago Pinots, which I think are obviously the best in the world, a bit like the All Blacks, hopefully. And enjoy a Peregrine in particular.
Great. Okay. Do you plan to, or how do you plan to manage the All Blacks workloads coming into Rugby World Cup this year? I mean, are we going to see the strongest team on the field every time, or will you look to, give the likes of a Richie McCaw and Dan Carter instead of having them on the field every minute of every game to give some others a chance? Do you think?
Oh, good question. I think we have in recent times played a pretty consistent 15. Odd change here and there, which has been done for that particular test match. And in the main, I think we'll continue with that philosophy.
Great. Which player do you see as the surprise package in the 2011 Investec Super Rugby?
I'm not going to answer that question. When I've answered those questions in the past, and I'll give you the reason, is that those guys, when they know the selectors are watching them, turn their focus to, I need to get selected rather than I need to play well. And so it's a very fine line, and if they concentrate on playing to the best of their ability, the selection will look after itself. But if they think, oh, those three old men are up there watching me play, and that becomes part of their focus, their performance deteriorates. So I don't like to talk about young players coming through the Super 15. I don't think it's the right thing for me to do, and it's a negative for them.
Yeah, that's great. I think probably something that a lot of our visitors wouldn't even think about, actually, before they ask that question. How long have you been coaching for?
Oh, 112, hang on, get that right. About 113 years, I think it is. So, I'm not looking bad for 125, am I? No, 36 years? Or was it 37? The first real serious coaching job, I thought it was a serious coaching job, and other people might not think so, is I coached an under 10.5 stone team in those days. Was 10.5 stone, about 65 kilo, I'm not sure. In 1973. And I've coached every year, every season, since 1973. Ridiculous, isn't it?
That's a great effort.
Were you born then?
In
1973.
I was, actually.
Were you?
I was a couple of years old.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm getting a bit old now too.
You're poor old.
Not quite 125, but I'm getting there.
No, it's the way you look after yourself. You can get to a real old age, but you don't want to tell everybody. So should keep this a secret just amongst ourselves here, shall we?
So, which takes me on quite nicely to another question that I've got here, is that have you actually coached junior rugby? You obviously have. If you were to do it again, what kind of age group would you like to coach and why?
I really enjoyed coaching secondary school rugby. I was a school teacher, which may surprise some of you out there. And I really enjoyed my time coaching secondary school rugby. It was great competitions, and the kids were just so excited to be able to play the game. it was the ideal environment to coach in, I thought. So coaching a secondary school first 15 was really stimulating, so I wouldn't mind doing that again.
Fantastic. Bit of a funny question for you here. How many tries do you think Robbie Fruin's going to score in the World Cup final?
Well, I'm not sure. You know, it's an interesting situation. There's another player, one young player, who's obviously got some media attention, and we've got some marvellous competitions in the midfield now. A lot of competition for those places, and Robbie Fruin's added to that competition. So I think that's what the person wants to know. And he's got things to work on in his game, and like everybody else, like Sonny Bill Williams has got to take the ball to the line more often and have a crack, I reckon. And Robbie Fruin needs to look at his work rate. So, and I could talk about Ma and Conrad and Richard Kahui and Tuiava and all those sort of players. So there's a lot of guys who can play in the midfield who are positive players. So yeah, Robbie's made an impression, but he's got things to do.
I mean, it is fantastic. There's just so much talent in those positions, the midfield positions at the moment, isn't there? And lots of young guys as well, you know.
So it's a positive for New Zealand rugby.
Yeah. Has Graham Henry ever tried doing the haka? And if so, is there any photographic evidence around?
The answer is yes and no.
Brilliant. How does Graham Henry prepare mentally for a Rugby World Cup? I mean, obviously you're thinking about the players all the time. Do you actually ever sit back and go, you know, do you have a routine that you go through leading up, you know, 6 months out or a week out or anything like that?
No, I think once you get into the All Black environment, you actually get into a way of handling that. So I get into a rhythm. It's different when you're outside the environment. When you're on holiday, you're very relaxed, or try to be, and you increase that relaxation as the holiday lengthens, and I've enjoyed that experience over Christmas, New Year. Now we're starting to get into rugby mode, and we've just had a visit to the Hurricanes in Wellington, and we've really, I think that's been a very positive visit, rubbing shoulders with the coaches, sharing ideas, having one-on-ones with the players, and that's been, those meetings have been really good. Our job at the moment is to try and enhance the ability of those individuals, and the franchise coaches and the All Black coaches are working in unison to do that. But once you get into the Tri-Nations, you get into a rhythm of a rugby week, and you work particularly hard early in the week, and then the players take over and then play the game. You're concerned about that performance, but if you do the job well, from Sunday to Saturday before they play, usually they have a big performance. So that's what you try and do, and you get into that rhythm week in and week out. And so once the Rugby World Cup starts, we'll be together for 13 weeks, hopefully, from the start of the Tri-Nations to the end of the Rugby World Cup, you just try and perfect that rhythm every week and do the job well.
And obviously a number 9 supporter here. How much importance do you place on a good number 9, and what do you look for in a number 9 and a good halfback these days? Has it changed from perhaps what you think would have been looked at 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Well, I think it's always changing. You know, in all positions, the game changes, and the number 9 needs to be a leader. Needs to have a good voice. He's the link between the forwards and the backs, and that hasn't changed. But the attack off 9 has become a pretty dominant part of the game rather than the attack off 10. So you need to be able to do both. So we need to be able to attack off the 9 from set piece and from the breakdown. And his ability to manipulate defences and put people through holes as an attacking number 9 is important. So you see a lot of arcing by halfbacks these days. They also need to be good kickers of the ball, both out of defence and into little attacking kicks that you can score off. You know, the old ability to pass the ball quickly through the air and off the floor is obviously a skill that they've always needed. I could go on and on, I guess. It's a long answer to this question. They need to be a good cover defender, so they're they're the cover defence between the back three and the front line of defence, and they pick up a lot of chip kicks, if you like, and you'll see halfbacks doing that role particularly well.
What, for my naivety, what's arcing?
Well, it's running from the base of a breakdown, running from where the ball carrier has been tackled, and you keep continuity of the ball, and the halfback picks that up, and he may arc to put a forward through a hole or a back through a hole on a flat attack from that breakdown. So that's what we call arcing, and you'll notice that a lot of halfbacks are doing quite a bit of arcing. Now, some of the people who don't understand the game particularly well think they're slow in their delivery, but they're actually running those arcs to try and break up the defence from the opposition, so you can put people through the holes that he creates doing that. So that's a new part of the game, and an important part of the game. So they've got a big role, halfbacks. I guess the biggest difference today is they've got to do a huge amount of running, and there's not many halfbacks can play 80 minutes, and that's why you see halfbacks getting subbed around about 55, 60 minutes, because they just run out of juice. There's no petrol left in the tank, so they need to be replaced.
Well, that's all the questions I've got.